Welcome, everybody. We're going to wait a minute for more of you to get on. We're almost at capacity, I see. Okay. Uh, yeah, so uh, I think we can start. So welcome. I'm really glad and kind of amazed at how many of you are signed up, and we'll see it in one form or another. When I originally decided to do this, I expected a few hundred people, and it turns out there's over 5,000 of you. And for me, it's just a testament to how much we're all craving some way to stay connected and stay in self. And so that's a lot of what the goal is for me in this crazy time. We've never been through anything like this. And so there are going to be parts that feel terribly out of control and scared. And then we've all got parts that react to that and so on. So we'll be talking more about what's going on and at various levels. This has been an interesting time for me to try and play with some ideas, and I'll be sharing some of that with you. But I also want to, as I say, help us feel more connected as a community. And this is going to be the first of a series of these free chats, I guess is the word for them. I think next week, Tony Herbine Blank's going to do one, and I'll do some more, and maybe we'll get other people to do some too, so that we can maintain this connection within our community and also help each other access self, which is really hard in times like this. And so that's another of my goals for tonight. But also, particularly if you can access some self, to be able to follow the trailheads that are in your face right now, the beliefs and emotions and thoughts and impulses that this triggering situation is bringing to you, and allowing this situation to be what we often call a tormentor, in that by tormenting you, it's teaching you, it's mentoring you. So the hyphen between the tor and the mentor about what needs to be healed. And so we want to do some of that also, at least give you the opportunity to do that if you can. And then in general, to try to bring more self to the world, because it needs it. It's my conviction that this is a wake-up call for us personally. We'll talk more about that, but it's also a wake-up call for the planet and for a lot of countries and corporations and so on. So, and that wake-up call won't be heeded unless there's a lot of self present. And you may not believe this, but I believe in my bones that the more we can access self, the more it ripples up, and leaders at all levels start to access more. And there's a desperate need for that now, so that's another of my goals. Okay, so shortly I'll lead a kind of meditation to get us started. And but in the meantime, you know, we're just really curious about which parts carry the fear, and then which parts are trying to manage that fear and how they're trying to do that. And then this is a great time to notice the parts of you that have been driving your life and whether or not you want them to continue and want them to continue dominating. And then finally, what it's like when you don't have the distractions you used to have, what it's like to have everything shut down so that you really can't be dominated by those same parts. or at least they'll try hard to do it, but it's really harder, much harder for them too. And so what comes up when you're really taken out of this context for an extended period? I'm reminded actually when I met my wife Jean, which now I think it's about 12 years ago. She'd been living in Manhattan for 20 years, and at some point I convinced her to move, at least temporarily, to St. Louis, where I was working at the time. And she did. And while St. Louis, the suburbs of St. Louis, it's quite a contrast to Manhattan, and it wasn't the best fit for her. She did start to notice, once she got away from all the frantic activity, that she was constantly bombarded, that she turns out to be one of these highly sensitive people who was in shutdown a lot of the time just to live in Manhattan, to make it. But she didn't notice that until she really got away for a period of time and could have access some of the parts that were being exiled just to protect her in Manhattan. And you know, made a conviction not to live in that kind of context anymore. So the parallel I'm making is that we can't do what we used to be doing, what we've been doing for a long time now. And it's an interesting time to notice what that's like, and if indeed we get access to parts we didn't before, and also if without the distractions our exiles are coming up in a way that's scary. So my goal is to help us play with all that today, both through talking about it like I am now, but also through some meditations and exercises. So without further ado, let me invite you to take a second and focus inside.
잠깐 시간을 가지고 내면으로 들어가서 지난 몇 주간 어떤 파트들이 올라왔는지 살펴보세요. 겁을 먹은 추방자들이 있는지, 미래에 대해서, 질병에 대해서, 혹은 당신의 경력, 가족, 직장에 문제가 생길까봐 두려워하는 파트가 있는지, 이 두려움들이 정말 현실을 반영하는 것들일 수도 있어요. 그냥 이 파트들을 잘 살펴보세요. 그리고 그런 두려움으로부터 당신 주의를 돌리려고 하는 다른 파트들이 있는지, 이를 축소하려고 하는 파트가 있는지 보세요. 이를 부인하려 하거나 혹은 두려움에 맞장구를 치는 파트들이 있는지, 시간을 좀 가지고 어떤 생각, 어떤 감정, 어떤 충동, 또 어떤 감각이 올라오는지 잘 살펴보세요. 그리고 그것이 어떤 것들인지 마음에 적어 보세요. 가능하다면 이 파트들을 알아가면서 그들에게 알려주세요. 당신이 그들을 보고 있다고, 그들을 걱정하고 있다고. 지금은 이게 잘 안 될 수도 있어요. 그 파트들과 너무 섞여 있거나, 그 파트들을 두려워하거나 싫어하는 파트들과 섞여 있을 수도 있어요. 아니면 그 파트들을 대하는 다른 마음이 있을 수도 있어요. 그래도 괜찮아요. 하지만 가능하다면 위로의 메시지를 전해보세요. 당신이 그 파트들을 보고 있고 그들을 걱정하고 있다고. 이 말을 듣고 그들이 어떻게 반응하는지 보세요. 오늘 이 파트들을 좀 다룰 거라고 얘기해 주세요. 그리고 너무 애쓰지 말고 편하게 하세요. 당신의 파트들이 분리하고 싶지 않아 한다면, 당신이 도와주는 걸 원치 않는다면, 그래도 괜찮아요. 이제 내면에서 천천히 방으로 나오세요.
And I'm going to talk a little bit more. I actually wrote a paper which put together a lot of my thoughts about this. And I like it, and I don't remember it enough to not have to read it. So I'm going to read some of my thoughts now. And then shortly after that, we'll do another little exercise. Okay. So most of us are therapists, I suspect, and we've all had clients who were dominated by striving, individualistic, materialistic parts that by certain measures had helped them achieve a lot of success in their lives. And we might call them narcissistic or some other label like that. Most of mine were the spouses, the partners of my clients who were feeling neglected by those high-powered, sometimes executives or other kinds of people. And those kinds of people generally won't change regardless of the obvious collateral damage to their bodies, to their other parts, to their relationships with the spouse who was my client. They typically won't change until something really bad happens. And the same is true for countries, because they become dominated by similar striving, materialistic parts, and then they, as a country, ignore the damage to the majority of the people in the country, to the health of the climate, and to the planet, to the earth. So like those driven clients, the economies of most countries in the world are based on unrestrained growth, just like the individual's goals are unrestrained growth. And like in both cases, when you're dominated by those kinds of insatiable, striving parts, usually does bring on some kind of a crash. Just the domination of those parts will lead to that. So, and that crash can be, if used right, a wake-up call, a life-changing kind of event for an individual, and can also be a big change for a country. So for type A people, it might be the survival of a heart attack, the divorce, or hitting bottom with the addiction that they've needed to keep all their other parts exiled. With a country, it's wars, economic depressions, plagues, or climate crises. and all of which are the product of the obsessions they've had with unlimited growth. Such events can shock the system to the point that the beliefs that have been driving it are questioned, and the costs of the mindless striving becomes more evident to the system at any of those levels. So this pandemic is going to cause immense pain and suffering. It already has. But ideally, it'll force us to individually reconsider who we are and what we value, and also do the same for us collectively as a country and as a planet. So it could be a wake-up call that heals human systems at many different levels. For example, now that countries have stopped polluting and forced to stop polluting, the earth has begun to heal fairly quickly. Right now, pollution is way down, and I read where fish are back in the canals of Venice, for example. So ecosystems have a way to self-heal, and if given half a chance, they can do that. So it'd be nice if at the planetary level we would heed this wake-up call, and then we wouldn't need a much bigger one down the road. And you know, that is kind of inevitable if we keep going the way we're going. But to use the wake-up calls, we have to access more self, again, at all these different levels. And that's hard to do right now because many of us have blended with the scared parts. And with that, this event is so survival threatening that it's natural for those parts to get triggered. And then it's also natural, again, for the protectors to take us away from those parts as best they can. But all of that keeps us from spending a lot of time in self. Let me say that in many cases, it's not necessarily our burdened parts that are scared, that our parts do have good reason often now to be afraid, that there are a lot of potential minefields looming. We may lose our jobs or our businesses or our dear family members or ourselves, actually. And many of us have watched life savings go down the drain in the stock market crash. So as Abraham Maslow talked about, it's very hard to become or work on even becoming self-actualized when your basic needs are in peril. And that's some of where we are right now. And we're not used to this. We're not used to having our lives be out of this control, you know, be this much out of control. Most of us had a feeling like, okay, we're going to die at some point and we can't control that. But short of that, you know, if we make the right choices, we'll basically be okay. And right now you can't really feel that way. On the other hand, there's always self. There's always what I call the capital I in the storm. There's that beneath the roiling waves, there's this sort of calm depth that's there regardless of our situation. So if we can get our parts to separate enough, we can access at least some of those 8 C's. And again, that's some of my goal today. But there are other obstacles. So being with your fear, for example, in this loving way is a challenge when everybody's telling you to be brave and overcome it. I read a piece this week by Jean Houston, and she wrote a line about this crisis. Quote, "On the other side of it, we'll look back and realize that we were part of an epic time in history when caring triumphed over fear and goodness prevailed. So the idea is that the hero triumphs over fear, which usually means exiling fear. So Winston Churchill at a time like this said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. To that I say, really the only thing we have to fear is the contempt of our fear. Because if instead we can go to the young parts of us from which the fear emanates with love and comfort them, and not be dominated so much by the macho parts that would triumph over fear, then actually we can heal a lot of things. And we can help the fear, and we can access, and then when the fear is calm and helped, then we can access the courage of self. And self just has courage. It's not something that you have to manufacture to triumph over anything. So we can use this time to follow the trailheads, and often they'll lead to parts that are stuck in terrible places in the past, and we can go to those parts and do some healing with them and take them out of where they're stuck and help them unburden and all that, the whole 9 yards or how many steps we have in IFS can be a very good healing opportunity as a wake-up call right now. But it may also be that the intense fear we're having doesn't come from a burdened place. It's realistic in some ways. And so that's more of a challenge, because this is a scary time and you can't necessarily reassure parts that bad things aren't going to happen, because they might. So what do you do in this situation? Well, as I was thinking about that, it reminded me of a time about 3 years ago. I was visiting my brother Michael, and he has a place on the island of Kauai on this beautiful bay. And my wife Jean and I were down at the water, and there were really big surf, really big waves, but I thought it'd be safe to just wade in the shallows. And so much to her chagrin, I ignored her warnings and I started to just walk around up to my, knees most of the time. And then all of a sudden, I took a step and I must have stepped off of a drop off. And I was suddenly being pulled out to sea by this riptide. And I didn't know how to handle that, being not a native Hawaiian. And so I just kept trying to swim back to the shore or swim to a reef that wasn't far off, and was getting nowhere. And was getting further and further pulled out and more tired. And then I would lay on my back to try and catch my breath, but the waves were so big that water would get in my mouth and I'd start to choke. So that wasn't a solution that was available. So at some point, I was getting so tired that it looked bad, like I was going to die. And I heard these parts screaming in my head, "We're going to die, we're going to die." And I went to them and said, okay, but, I tried to hold them and comfort them. But I couldn't say we're not going to die, because I didn't know that. What I could say is, if we die, I'll be with you. And that calmed them down. And then, sort of in the nick of time, my sister-in-law, Patty, came down to the beach and saw me struggling and frantically pointed me to swim toward the big waves, which was counterintuitive to me. And I just had enough energy to do that. And then the waves kind of ushered me in. And so I'm here talking today because of that. And later I learned that a guy had died in a similar situation at that same bay a couple days earlier. So I feel very lucky And it was a lesson in self-leadership, in the sense that even in that kind of a context, it's really helpful to parts to help them and hold them and help them trust you, regardless of what's going to happen. And my parts are used to that. I've spent many, many years getting them to trust me, to not have to take over and to let me handle things, even scary things sometimes. And in most contexts, they're good at that. There's a few I won't mention right now, where they still tend to take over, and it's a struggle for me to get them to step back. But I had built up enough trust in that kind of a context that when I asked them to separate, they would. And so the point of that is, this is a scary time, and it's still very valuable to our parts for them to give us the space to actually help them. And yeah. Yeah, so even in the face of death, it's possible to hold your parts. It's far more difficult because it's less likely that they'll separate. And again, it's less likely they'll separate now than in other kinds of circumstances. But it's possible. And it may not lead to the kind of life-saving luck I had, but it's always better to face your challenges in life from a place of courage, clarity, and confidence than from your scared, dissociating, or impulsive parts. So that's my sort of pitch to your parts, to just give you a chance. Because once you do access a bit more self, you may find that the same thing that's true for the earth when the pollution stops, that you sort of automatically begin to heal. And that the extreme parts that have dominated your life and that were elevated to that dominance by what it takes to make it in our culture are forced to step back now. And you might find that you love the emergence of other parts that know how to play and how to be creative or how to enjoy nature. It's like the fish that return to Venice's canals. These parts are coming back now if they're given the green light to. And you might find that you want to make changes in your life so you can make room for them. So, as I mentioned before, the more self we bring to this crisis, the more likely its lessons will be learned at all levels. The planetary, the country, and the individual. Rilke said, quote, "Let me not squander the hour of my pain," end quote. So rather than squandering this one, let's use it to change many layers of the world we live in. So all that is an excerpt of what I've been writing recently. I'll put out the whole paper at some point. And it sets the stage for the next exercise I'd like to try, which is to have you actually work with some of these parts if they're willing. So let's get comfortable again and
다시 몸과 마음을 편안하게 만들고 집중을 해보세요. 좀 전에 지금 코로나 상황으로 촉발된 당신의 파트들에 대해 알아보았는데, 이 중에서 집중적으로 다뤄볼 파트가 있는지 살펴보세요. 이 파트가 공포에 떨고 있는 추방자라면 이와 작업을 해도 괜찮은지 허락을 받도록 하세요. 허락을 해주지 않으면 허락해주는 걸 두려워하는 파트에게로 가서 그들이 두려워하는 게 무엇인지 보고 허락을 받을 수 있는지 보세요. 지금 다룰 파트가 있다면 그 파트에 포커스하고 그 파트를 당신 몸 속에 혹은 몸 주변에서 찾을 수 있는지 보세요. 그리고 그 파트를 바라보면서 어떤 마음이 드는지 보세요. 이 시점에서 그 파트에 대해 극단적인 감정이 올라올 수도 있어요. 그래도 괜찮아요. 지금 셀프에 접근하는 게 어려울 수도 있어요. 하지만 몇 분 동안만이라도 오랫동안 하지 않아도 돼요. 잠깐만이라도 극단적 느낌을 주는 파트들이 좀 릴렉스 할 수 있는지 보세요. 이 실습이 끝난 다음에는 바로 다시 나타나도 된다고 해주세요. 하지만 지금은 포커스 하려고 하는 파트들을 좀 알아갈 수 있게 공간을 허락해 줄 수 있는지 물어보세요. 우리가 하는 것은 그 파트에게 힘을 실어줘서 시스템을 압도시키려는 게 아니라고. 단지 그 파트에 대해 알고 싶을 뿐이라고. 그 파트가 너무 겁내지 않게 도와줄 수 있다고. 그것이 무엇을 하든 너무 심하게 하지 않아도 되게 도와줄 거라고. 그 파트가 혼자가 아니라 당신이 함께 있다는 걸 믿게 하려는 거라고. 잠깐 시간을 가지고 오늘 다루려고 하는 파트들에 대해 반감이 있는 파트들이 조금 릴렉스 할 수 있는지, 그래서 당신이 좀 더 셀프에 접근하고 몸에 집중할 수 있게 허락해 주는지 보세요. 만약 이렇게 되지 않는다면 다루려고 했던 타겟 파트에 접근하려고 하지 마세요. 대신에 분리하려고 하지 않는 다른 파트들에 포커스 하세요. 그리고 그들이 두려워하는 게 무엇인지 보고 이 타겟 파트를 당신이 다룰 수 있다는 걸 믿기 위해서 이 파트들이 당신으로부터 무엇이 필요한지 보세요. 만약 타겟 파트에 대해 호기심을 가질 수 있게 된다면 그 파트에게 가서 그것이 당신에게 뭘 알려주려고 하는지 보세요. 왜 속상해하는지, 왜 당신을 보호하려고 하는지, 어떤 파트든 간에 잠깐만이라도 호기심을 가지고 이 파트들이 당신에게 뭘 알려주려고 하는지 보세요. 이 파트들에 대해 알아가면서 이 파트들이 당신에 대해서도 알 수 있게 도와주세요. 지금 이 순간만큼은 그 파트가 혼자가 아니라고, 당신이 함께 있다고 알려주세요. 당신이 진심으로 느낀다면 알려주세요. 당신이 이들을 염려하고 있고 도와주고 싶다고. 그리고 그 파트에게 한번 물어보세요. 당신이 몇 살이라고 생각하는지. 그 파트가 당신의 실제 나이와는 다르게 생각한다면 알려주세요. 당신이 그 나이가 아니고 그 파트가 생각하는 것보다 훨씬 더 능력이 있다고. 그리고 그 파트가 당신이 자신을 염려하고 있다는 걸 믿는지 보세요. 만약 믿지 않는다면 물어보세요. 왜 믿지 않는지. 신뢰를 얻기 위해 무엇을 해야 하는지. 이 파트가 당신이 염려한다는 걸 믿는다면 그냥 함께 있어주세요. 이 파트가 당신이 염려한다는 것을 믿는다면 물어보세요. 과거 어디서 이런 느낌, 이런 믿음을 갖게 되었는지. 알려줄 게 있으면 알려달라고 하세요. 생각을 하려고 하지 말고 이 질문을 던지고 기다려 보세요. 그리고 뭐가 떠오르는지 보세요. 아무것도 떠오르지 않아도 괜찮아요. 이 파트가 과거에 갇혀있지 않아서일 수도 있고 지금이 두려운 상황이기 때문에 그냥 두려울 수도 있어요. 그렇다면 그냥 알겠다고 해주세요. 이 두려운 시간 동안 이 파트를 더 도와주려고 노력하겠다고 해주세요. 하지만 이 파트가 얼어붙어버린 과거 시간을 보여준다면 계속하라고 말해주세요. 그 파트에게 무슨 일이 일어났는지, 얼마나 힘들었는지, 당신이 충분히 알 수 있을 때까지 알려달라고 하세요. 당신이 충분히 이해하고 있다는 느낌이 들면 그 시간, 어렸을 적으로 가서 어린 당신과 함께 있을 수 있는지 보세요. 그 시기에 어린 당신이 필요로 했던 방식으로 있어줄 수 있는지, 당신이 자기를 위해 자기와 함께 무엇을 해주기를 바라는지 보고 그 아이가 필요로 하는 걸 해주세요. 그리고 이제 그 파트가 당신과 함께 그 시간, 그 장소를 떠나 안전하고 편안한 장소로 나올 준비가 되었는지 보세요. 현재로 오지 않아도 돼요. 지금 상황이 두려우니까. 원한다면 상상의 장소로 가도 괜찮아요. 이제 이 파트가 오랜 세월 동안 짊어지고 왔던 불편한 감정이나 믿음을 내려놓고 싶어 하는지 보세요. 지금처럼 두려운 시기에는 이게 힘들 수도 있어요. 하지만 뭐라도 그 파트가 빛, 물, 불, 바람, 땅에 보내버리고 싶어 하는 게 있는지 보세요. 고통스러운 과거에서 기인하는 마음의 짐, 고통을 떠나보내고 싶어 한다면 어떤 식으로든 몸에서 이런 마음의 짐들을 떠나보내게 하세요. 마음의 짐을 내려놓고 싶어 하고 그럴 수 있었다면 이 파트가 지금 어떻게 하고 있는지 보세요. 그리고 몸속에 새로운 특성을 초대하고 싶어 한다면 그렇게 하게 하세요. 그런 다음 마지막으로 다른 파트들을 불러와서 이걸 보게 하세요. 어떻게 달라졌는지, 그리고 이 변화에 대해 이들이 어떻게 반응하는지 보세요. 이제 준비가 되면 천천히 방으로 나오세요.
Let me say a few things about that. I kind of sped through those steps. So it may well be that you didn't get very far. In fact, maybe your parts wouldn't separate at all. And I really don't want you to feel like you failed if that's true. This is a scary time, and it's not easy to get parts to cooperate at times like this, and it takes a lot more work than the 15 minutes that I just put in. But I suspect some people were able to do it, and it's the kind of work I've been trying to do on my own, or sometimes with Jean, the last couple of weeks, being inside most all the time. I'm turned 70 this year, so I'm high risk. Not only that, but because also I have a history of severe childhood asthma and had an asthma incident, episode, something like that, earlier this year. So I'm trying to be really careful and really, socially distant, emotionally not distant, but and also try to use the wake up call personally, because when everything had to cancel, I've canceled any travel for months in advance now. There were parts of me that were quite relieved, and parts that I'd just been pushing aside and not listening to, basically. And so during these 2 weeks, I've had much more time to spend with them and to actually do some of this healing with them and meditating to access more self, and also to get to know Jean again in a deeper way. And so for all of that, I'm grateful, and I do expect that it's going to lead to some lasting changes. I don't plan to not travel anymore, but I plan to not travel as much and do more online. And that's one of the things that may wind up being a blessing also, because we have successfully moved a lot of the training programs online so far successfully. And in doing so, it may be possible that we can meet a lot of the demand, because I know a lot of you had a lot of trouble getting into level 1 trainings. And the in-person trainings require a lot more logistical stuff that make it harder to organize them and make it so that we can't have as many. But if we did at least some of the level 1 trainings, some portion of the level 1 training online, it would simplify things a lot, and we could do a lot more of them. So that's what we're playing with. And my experience, just like today, I think, is that it can be quite effectively learned online. You don't necessarily have the same level of community connection, and during this crisis, we hope to find other ways to connect the community, but it still can be quite effective, I think. So anyway, we're trying to use this crisis as an opportunity too, and to experiment with different ways of being. And I see I see in the chat that many of you are happy to hear this, so that's great. So I want to close with one more meditation. So let's all get relaxed again and comfortable in our chairs.
다시 릴렉스하고 의자에서 몸을 편안하게 만들어 보세요. 이번에는 당신의 파트들을 느끼면서 좀 더 분리해 달라고 부탁해 보세요. 지금은 이들을 알아가기보다는 이들에게 좀 릴렉스하고 좀 더 공간을 허락해 달라고 부탁할 거예요. 일단 몸에 좀 더 다시. 일단 몸에 좀 더 집중해 보세요. 이들이 활성화되었을 때는 몸의 많은 공간을 차지할 수 있어요. 파트들이 공간을 허락한다면 이들이 에너지를 철수함에 따라 뭔가 변화를 느낄 수 있을 거예요. 그러면서 좀 더 몸을 느낄 수 있을 거예요. 좀 더 몸의 감각을 느끼거나 몸을 관통하는 어떤 진동하는 에너지를 느낄 수도 있고 좀 더 그라운드되게 느낄 수도 있어요. 일단 파트들이 공간을 허락해주면 이게 그들에게도 위안이 됩니다. 왜냐하면 이들이 당신을 몸 밖으로 밀어내면 당신의 존재를 느끼기 어려워지니까요. 이 파트들은 그럴 수 있거든요. 이 위기의 상황에서도 당신이 몸에 있을 수 있게 허락을 해달라고 이 파트들에게 부탁을 해보세요. 그리고 어떻게 느껴지는지 보세요. 만약 이 파트들이 조금이라도 이를 허락한다면 이들에게 연민을 전달할 수 있는지 보세요. 당신 시스템 전체에 당신이 잘 알지 못하는 파트에게도 혹은 당신 삶에서 많은 문제를 일으키는 파트에게도 연민을 전달할 수 있는지 진심에서 우러나는 연민을 표현해 보세요. 당신 시스템에 연민의 에너지를 보내세요. 당신 셀프의 침착함이 지금 상당히 유용할 수 있어요. 그리고 그들에게 알려주세요. 당신이 어리지 않다고. 당신이 그들을 도울 수 있다고. 그들은 모르겠지만 당신은 상당한 용기가 있다고. 그리고 그들이 어떻게 반응하는지 보세요. 만약 그들이 당신의 연민과 침착함을 느낄 수 있다면 좀 더 릴렉스 할 수 있을 거예요. 그러면 당신은 좀 더 연민을 느낄 수 있고 더 침착해질 수 있고 그러면서 선순환이 일어날 수 있게 되겠죠. 이제 당신 파트에 대한 연민을 지구에 대한 연민으로 확장을 해보세요. 지구가 우리를 보살핀 데 대한 당신의 연민과 사랑을 보내세요. 아름다움을 준 데 대해서 그리고 진심으로 느껴진다면 마음으로 사과를 표하세요. 그동안 때때로 당신이 어떻게 지구를 학대했는지 아무리 자연주의자인 사람일지라도 저도 지구를 학대했던 적이 있습니다. 인류로서 우리가 어떻게 지구를 학대했는지 집단적으로 사과를 표해 보세요. 이제 이 명상의 마지막 부분으로 이런 연민, 침착함, 명확성, 용기를 세상의 지도자들에게 전달할 수 있는지 보세요. 왜냐하면 그들이 자신의 보호자들을 릴렉스하게 하고 자신의 셀프에 더 접근하기 위해서는 이런 특성들이 필요하니까요. 그래서 우리 지도자들이 이 웨이크업 콜의 교훈을 배울 수 있게 그리고 우리 지도자들이 이전에는 느끼지 못했던 방식으로 우리의 정책이 이 나라와 다른 나라에 사는 많은 사람들에게 입힌 고통을 느낄 수 있게 그래서 성공을 위해 고군분투하는 파트들로 장악된 개인처럼 마침내 방치된 파트들의 고통을 느끼고 이런 자멸의 길로 제약 없는 성장으로 이끄는 대신에 이들을 위해 뭔가를 할 거라는 맹세를 할 수 있게 이제 서서히 포커스를 내면에서 외부로 돌리고 천천히 방으로 나오세요.
So, yeah, we've all got lessons to learn. This is a great opportunity, and it is terrifying. And but the lesson plan is in your parts and their burdens, and just getting them to trust you a little more. So, yeah, so let's keep finding ways to keep doing things like this and staying connected. And as I say, there'll be more of these to come, but I think there are other ways we can do this. And maybe meeting in smaller groups than 5,000 at a time. And it's important to know that 5,000 people doing this simultaneously can have actually quite a big effect. I didn't get to say enough about that, but I totally in my bones know that when you access self and when you help your clients access self, it isn't just individually having an impact, it ripples. Self is a field. And the more self we bring, the more it ripples to all these other levels that actually will create healing. So, so what we just did, I think, is really important and valuable. And so let's all keep doing it. Okay. I'll see you around.